Matthew. Everyone, big round of applause for Matthew. Thank you. It was spring 2021. I was walking to Apprentice University, and I was scared. I'd been faced with the question, what are you going to do with your life? To be honest, I didn't know. I'd heard about a place called Apprentice University from a friend, and I thought I might as well try it. I went in not expecting anything, but that was the opposite. I met mentors and teachers that cared about me, even if this was the only time they were ever going to see me. I was fascinated, and the staff picked up on it. Because I was finishing up high school, I couldn't join the main program at that time, but they offered me an internship. I would help run internal systems throughout the day, and then on Fridays I would end up helping throughout the week through this internship. And that was my first experience with Apprentice University that turned into Vertical Immersive. Thought I'd remove that. All right. So, a little bit about me. I grew up in a Christian homeschool household. I didn't know God's path for me or what was laid out for me, but I knew that this was only the start of my journey. I'm a student that loves to be challenged and seeks hard work and helping others whenever I can. I love strategic thinking, technology, and I love history, among other subjects. But most of all, when I walked into the building the first time, I was scared. I didn't have confidence. I didn't know what I was going to do. And that kind of controlled me for a while. But I knew I had some deep values set in me. I wanted somewhere I could grow both professionally and personally. More importantly, grow in my faith. The moment I don't know what to do, I go straight to my knees. I knew God had a purpose for my life. I just didn't know what. I needed both mentorship and direction. I also had to contend still with the dread question, what are you going to do with your life? Back to prayer I went. After 4 years of prayer, that's when I had that first preview day. And it was only at the beginning of that time that I had actually met the connections that would eventually lead me here. In came Vertical Immersive. So, we have the preview, concerned, unsure, lost. Where do you think I started? Well, I started right into classes, literature and worldview with Brian Hudson, and professional communications. I was still a shy kid, couldn't talk, could barely talk in front of 4 people if I wanted to, if I even forced myself to. Little did I know, most of the classes were discussion-based, right the day I walked in. So, I get into the Narnia class, literature and worldview. Things are going great. I have some discussions. I'm still very quiet, but it's all going good. I get into professional communications. I get immediately informed that, oh, don't worry about being shy. We're going to have you present in front of everyone next week. All right, well, right into the fire, I guess. So, I was going to finish up this part, but I'm actually going to skip ahead a little bit so that I don't jump back and forth. We had a timeline of events here. My first internship at Apprentice University and some of the experiences I had. Throughout the week I was working in the building. I was working with Ron Brumberger, the former owner, and he had a very famous saying, figure it out. I walked in, I didn't know anything about technology. I didn't know how to update a computer. Actually, I kind of did, but I was so nervous that I said I didn't. Still, that lack of confidence was still kicking me. Well, that was just fine. Figure it out. I walk in the first day, I get informed, all right, we want you to update all our systems. We want you to have a Zoom class recording system up and ready for classes starting in 2 weeks. We want you to know how to set up and manage the entire network for the building. I don't know how to do any of this. Figure it out. All right. But with every trial and effort, with every success, comes some mistakes. 2 or 3 weeks into the program, tried to manage that said network that I was dealing with, and the entire network failed. while I was out of the building. I had to, over the course of 2 days, rapidly learn as much as I could about Ruckus network systems. Learn as much as I could. Build myself up the best I could. And even after all that, I couldn't figure it out. I reached out to mentors. I reached out to some of the staff I could find. And finally, I got in touch with a professional who knew fully what was going on. And he ended up helping mentor me. And that's part of what started kicking off my want to end up going into network engineering. So that internship files out successfully. Things go well. I still haven't joined the full program yet, but because of this successful internship, I was recommended for a role helping a company called Trimedics. This company helped people with managing medical data, and they needed somebody to help them move all their equipment from one building to their new headquarters. This was over the course of about 2 weeks, and I was going to be expected to set up and dismantle over 400 workstations all by myself. Praise God, he gave me a sense of tenacity. I forced myself to get into the project, and that's where I started getting an understanding of how businesses operate. I worked with some staff members there. I had to communicate rapidly, and I had to manage my own time schedule. All in all, I loved that program, and that also went really well. Which, because of that, moved right into my third experience, working directly with Co-Alliance, helping them move from their headquarters from Danville, Indiana, all the way to Girls School Road. With this, it was a little bit bigger of a project. I was told, you're going to be managing 2 teams. We want you to pick the people on those teams, and we want you to manage all communication and integration with Co-Alliance's team. No project management experience of any kind to speak of. But I knew how to judge people. I knew how to find people that either knew what they were talking about or could learn. I had 2 teams set up, ready to go, and working in the building with everything that they needed on 15 minutes early, to the extent that Co-Alliance said, well, actually, we're not ready. We need you to wait outside. That project went amazing. I found success in that, and even though I didn't think I could do it, at no point did I think I could do any of this. I was recovering from being that shy child that walked into these doors, but I was improving. Co-Alliance, we ended up finishing that project 3 days ahead of schedule and expanding on the scope of the project itself. Which moves me right into my last bits of experience. From there, I moved into RT Moore, Mechanical Contractors. I was working in their IT sector, helping them with managing new signups, helping them with internal systems, special projects, research. I was a little bit of an everything guy, and that's how they liked it. The first day I walked in, I was directly asked, okay, do you want to start on some work, or do you want to tour the building? Okay, I can start on some work, that's fine. Oh, good, because we need 80 new employees set up with their equipment and data by Tuesday. By the way, how many days a week are you working here? 2 days a week. So you have today and tomorrow to do that. Okay, how do I do that? We'll have some staff members run you up on that. Thinking that I had to get this done by Tuesday that next week, which I wasn't going to be there on, I got that project done in 36 hours. Little did I know that project was supposed to last me 2 weeks. It got to the point that I still hadn't gotten that information that was supposed to be done over 2 weeks. I came in the next week. One of the guys had left me a list, one of my coworkers, along with 20 different items that needed to be done by the end of the day, or so I thought. Turns out I sometimes need to ask for a little more clarification. What it was actually supposed to be was my tasks for the next week. I got that entire list done by 12 o'clock, same day. I then asked, what can I do? Where can I go? What can I help with? Well, the inventory needs fixed. All right, 2 hours later, inventory is fixed. What else can I do? This computer's busted. All right, that's fixed. What else can I do? We'll get back to you on that. It was to the extent that the next day, when the guy that had originally left me a list to accomplish asked another coworker while they were around the corner, so how do you do on that? Well, he got that list done. Oh, okay. That was shockingly fast, but okay. He also did this, and this, and this, and this, and this. I may have heard a murmured explicative out of the around the corner. But altogether, that experience ended up being extended, and I've left there very favorably. In fact, I'm actually hoping to continue with that place in the future if possible. But after that, I moved back to Vertical Immersive, right back to where I started. At that point, I was back doing a lot of similar things to what I'd previously done, just with an actually fully set up building this time. This time I was helping with accounts, I was helping with internal systems, and honestly at some points I was just saying, hey, can we do this? Because this would help us so much. But at times it also came to running a little low on work. And I can do 1,000 tasks. Where I struggle is finding extra pieces to do. That's something that God really showed me over that apprenticeship. And by the end of it, I had a new outlook. Trying to find, when I have space and time, what else can I do? How else can I work in a way that honors God? So I briefly mentioned classes, but I didn't actually go very deeply into them. What do you see in front of you is a flywheel. When I joined the full program, we had a class, Basics of Entrepreneurship. One of the hardest classes, not one of, easily the hardest class I'd ever taken in my life. By the end of the class, you were supposed to have a Shark Tank style pitch that you would give to a panel of judges and be able to have a full business idea, how you could have it operating in potentially a couple weeks, and every little internal piece, to the extent that a couple business had actually been started at that program. This right here is what you can, the flywheel idea is that sometimes every idea starts with the simplest movements, and those simplest movements get changed moving. When I started here, the first thing I saw is that the biggest changes can be seen in the smallest movements. It wasn't about some instant change, some immediate thing that moved me. It was about walking in that first day into professional communications and saying, guess what? You're going to be presenting next week. Much to my horror. Thank you. But altogether, I'm going to bounce back a second to talk about some of the classes I started with. Professional communications, I was still that shy kid. I was struggling, and those first few presentations especially were not good. In fact, by the end of that first time, I had my capstone ready. I had a list in front of me. I had a full piece set out. I had prepped and read and done everything I should do. Except you shouldn't memorize an entire speech. You shouldn't do that at all. I stood up and stared at the wall, mind blank, to the extent that Mr. Osborne stopped me, had me sit down and said, okay, review your notes. We'll have a couple other people go. It'll all be okay. Sat back down, looked at my notes, reviewed. Everything's good. Everything's great. Awesome. Good. Stand back up. Nope. That first time I took professional communications, I failed. I failed hard. But that failure taught me. I grew. In fact, in that class, I was voted by most of the students most improved in the class. I had to retake things. I knew it. But that second time around, by the end of it, I gave my capstone in front of 50 people, trembling and shaking in my hands, but knowing that I could do this. I had the confidence to do it, and ultimately, even if things weren't okay, I knew I would be okay. A couple other things that really I enjoyed were the Great Reset and the Narnia Worldview class. Narnia, because it really integrated me into the culture, helped me see that the community wasn't just there to test me, wasn't just there to push me and make sure I was the best of the best, but they were also there around me to support me. I needed to lean in the first couple weeks on them a lot. But by the end of that semester, I was literally able to quote Narnia back to people. I was having in-depth conversations, and I was loving every moment of it. The other one, the Great Reset, really challenged some of my analytical thinking skills. I love that class because, well, strategic thinking I mentioned at the beginning, right? Seeing the deeper picture, seeing what you can see beyond yourself. That's where I thrive. That's what I love. So what's next? Learning never stops? Figure it out. From here, I intend to certify myself for the future, build a career where I can support and fulfill others and my values. And most of all, I want to just see where God takes me. You never know where life takes you. You can embrace that or fight it. At the beginning of this journey, I've been fighting it. I've embraced it now. Thank you.